Okay, here we go. Good morning, and thank you for being here. There's a lot of information that I am going to attempt to cover with not a lot of time in which to do so. Unlike the previous presentations, I'm going to conduct this presentation via logging into several TxDOT applications. The goal of this presentation is to get the message across that there is bridge information out there and that it is very easily accessible to most, if not all TxDOT folks. So I'm going to get onto it. And where is this information located? This information is easily located in a bridge management database, and it's located in a bridge division website. So it's easily accessible through Crossroads, Division, Bridge. Oh, gosh, here we go. I think I need to go back and reconnect through Cisco. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. And so while we're waiting for the computer to log back in, here we go. Field operations. Where is this information located? It's located in a bridge management database called Pontex. Like you saw me previously do, it's in Bridge Division website, field operations. We're going to go ahead and click into the Pontex login. And what Pontex is basically, it's just a website where we keep all these documents that are pertinent to bridges, and these documents can be as-built bridge plans, they can be scour analysis. Principally, they are bridge inspection findings documentation. And this is the Pontex login, and it's the same login that you would use as you use to access your computer. And you might be asking yourself right now, well, I don't have access to Pontex, and I will show you in a minute. Our IT folks and Bridge Division folks have worked out something where you can submit an IT ticket, and for those of you who will be read-only users, the ticket is very simple to submit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and log into Pontex as a read-only user. And while it's doing this, let me go ahead and show you where you can submit this IT ticket. And I'm sure there's different ways of accessing this, but I like to, this is so much simpler for me. It's TxDOT Now. Go ahead and log in. And you obviously need something. Grant, modify, or revoke access. And when you come in here and put in your information, see, there's already a field for you to just go ahead and click Pontex Citric Access. And what we need you to do is, when you come down here, just type in, well, I'm not going to go through the whole process, but once you accept this, you go ahead and type in that you need access as a read user only. And they'll do their contacting with Bridge Division folks, and I'm not sure how long the process takes, but unless you've done something to upset somebody in Bridge Division, typically you will be granted access into Pontex. So we'll go back now into Pontex, and assuming you have access to it right now, as soon as Pontex is activated, let's discuss the screen a little bit. It reminds me of just a typical folder that you had maybe in high school with a whole bunch of tabs on there. And as a user only, you'll typically use these tabs that are located down here. These are the bridge and route tabs that I like to call. Now, when you access into Pontex, it will automatically take you into the bridge list tab. And what this does, it usually won't have any information in here. And you'll get a listing of all the bridges throughout the state. We have close to 53,500 bridges throughout the state, and they will all be listed on here. These are on and off systems. Now, one good thing about, or one desirable aspect about this bridge listing is that you can export that information and you can throw it into an Excel sheet and do whatever you need to do to it to extract the information that you need. Now, you don't want to run a listing of all the states and the bridges. You want to go ahead and narrow down your query as to what it is that you need. So your fields that you would fill would be the information of where it is that you're looking the information for. I'm right now tapping into the Odessa district. Odessa has a county 156 here. So now I've narrowed down my query into just the bridges in Odessa for county 156, and you can further narrow that down by whatever control section is available within that county. So again, one positive aspect about this is that you can export this information into an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to go ahead and narrow this down to 04. I'm sorry. 0005. I'm going to hit the export. And one thing I have to point out to here, when you are logged into Pontex, it's very important that when you try to save this, and it's not on here right now, but when you're logged into Pontex, you'll have some directories here. And it's very important that you save to a directory that has a $sign. Okay, if you don't save into a directory that has a $sign, it's going to go somewhere out into space and you'll never see it. So you've got to make sure you save it into a directory with the $sign. Okay, so now I'm going to get out of here. And let's get into some of the information that you really want to use and how it is that you can use that information. Let's say I need some information for a particular bridge. And what you need to do is, I've selected bridge 032. You double click on it. And the computer would automatically take you into the inspection and appraisal tab. You'll know that you have the information for this particular bridge because the bridge structure number will appear up here. You can always go back to the bridge listing and select a different number, a different bridge number. But if you tab onto the other ones, you'll always know what bridge what information you're looking at and what bridge it belongs to by looking at the structure number up here. So I'm just going to go down the line and go through the different tabs and go through some of the important information that different areas in TxDOT might be interested in looking. And for the identification, you've got your structure number here. You've got a bridge description right here. Year built, if you have any reconstruction such as rehabilitation or widenings, you've got that year there. Something very important that a lot of different users like to get is your GPS coordinate information. One thing very interesting about this tab is, let's say you're not quite sure where this bridge is located. So what do? You just click the Map It key. I'm not sure what I did there. Oh, there it is. So you hit the Map It key, and there's your bridge, and it's located in there by Thumbtack. And you can zoom out to see how you can access this bridge. Okay, So we'll go ahead and close this. Unfortunately, with this map it, you can only map one bridge at a time, but I'm going to show you another application that ties into Pontex that will help you out with that. And this is the TRIP. You guys might be familiar with this. And again, Crossroads, TxDOT Roadway Information Portal. And we're going to go ahead and access TRIP. When you go in here, there's different things you can do with TRIP with regards to bridges and locating them. Again, TRIP is directly connected into Pontex. So all the information you're getting on here is real live information. If you're interested in looking at one particular bridge, you can go in here and input the number itself. And I don't have these memorized, so I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go back to, I'm not picking on Odessa. It just so happens I was working with them on something, and so. I have their NBI sheet here. And there it is. There's your bridge right there. It's a little difficult to see. Well, it's better on the screen up there. But there's your bridge right there. And it gives you an analytical data box right here with information regarding that bridge. You double click on it, on this line. I'm sorry, if you turn on this line, it's not giving me, okay. Well, I thought it was going to do something, but it's not. Let me try it some other way. Okay, let's say we want to know, or we want to have an idea of how many bridges are located within our particular section and how close they are to one another. Let's say you've got so much limited funds and you want to try to narrow down or minimize the number of bridges located within a particular section. So we go to Structure Layers. You can go to Bridge All. You can select a particular district. I'm just going to hit Austin, Blanco, and you update the map. Okay, let me hit, and it's not working. It could be. I might have done that. Let me clear it first, and let me do this again. I'm sorry. Structure Layers. There we go. So you can zoom in. You can hit a particular bridge, and it'll give you the information for it. Oh. I'm not very familiar with TRIP. I apologize. Oh, here we go, display data grid. And there's the information on all the different bridges that came out. You hit one, and it sends you particularly to that bridge. So there's different queries you can do by hitting different buttons and getting and isolating the information that you need. So basically, all I'm trying to get across here is that for designers or planners, if you want to get a feel for where your bridges are located, proximity to each other, these are some very good tools that are at your disposal. You don't have to get up anymore, look for a map or anything. It's all within a matter of just clicking a few tabs, accessing a few programs, and the information is there for you. Now we're going to go ahead and go back to Pontex. So that's the Identification tab. Geometry tab has information. If you happen to have an overpass, for example, you'll have information about regarding vertical clearances. This is some information that your maintenance offices typically are very interested in learning, especially because they deal a lot with your over height permits. There's additional information regarding the number of lanes, how wide your deck is. So you have a whole bunch of information relating to geometry here in this tab. If you need to know something about the structure, what kind of loading it was designed for, is there a loading restriction? That would be under your structural and your loading tab. So this particular bridge happens to be designed for HS loading, and it doesn't have any bridge load posting restrictions on it. The inventory route basically just tells you where the bridge structure is located. It gives you some information regarding your mile point, reference markers, information that say you're filling out your DCIS screens, your P1s to P3 screens. You might need to know your reference marker information. So that information can be accessible through here. Now we're back to the inspection and appraisal tab, and this is probably one of the most interesting tabs because from this tab you're able to access the documents that are used to input all the information that I've already shown you. And to access that information, Pontex has only been around maybe for about 6 years, and try to remember that the information that is in Pontex has to be uploaded. So depending on how much work your district bridge section has done as far as uploading information, you'll typically have at least 6 years worth of information in here. So we will go to, we want to go to the inspection attachments, and what you'll find here is your latest inspection report. So those of you that work on, let's say you're working on a project and you want to know, okay, this particular bridge, is there any kind of rehab that we need to consider under this project? Well, normally what you do is you get up, you contact your bridge section, walk over and borrow a file. You can get all that information here. Unless you're interested in getting information that's really, really old, there might be a need to do that, to borrow the bridge folder. But if you're interested in the more recent information, this is where you need to go. So you'll have your bridge inspection follow-up action worksheet, and with regards to these area engineers and maintenance supervisors, you should be very interested in this sheet right here. There's usually a copy forwarded to your office after every routine bridge inspection. And the purpose of this worksheet is to let you know, well, unfortunately I picked a bridge that's in really good shape, which is really good, but typically, if there's some kind of deficiency related to the bridge, you'll have that noted on here. You'll have whether that deficiency was reported to you in the past. And in addition to that, you'll have a recommended action so that you can take care of that deficiency. There is a second part, a backside to this worksheet. And I'm going to go back to my slide presentation real quick, if I can find it. And that backside is very important because back in, I want to say, come on, and I've got a copy here. We've got to keep, basically, we've got to keep track of where we're spending our money. And back in 2012, there was a memo by Mr. Barnes that says, everybody that's out there and we're doing work on bridge, we have to keep track of this. An easy way to keep track of this is to go in there and place this information onto our bridge follow-up action worksheets. And again, it's the backside to this sheet. So area engineers, maintenance supervisors, if you can't find that sheet, guess what? You can go back in here, print this sheet. You can handwrite some comments of whatever repairs have taken place onto the backside, and then scan it and send it over to your bridge coordinator. And that bridge coordinator will make sure that that information gets into the database. And so, like for example, this information, this morning when Jorge was talking about that painting on that bridge. Guess what? Had somebody recorded that on here? I know this was many years ago before this was, but hypothetically, if somebody would have done that, that information would have been recorded somewhere, and it would have been easily accessible at one location. So you will have your follow-up action worksheet. Then you have your bridge inspection record, which this is documents that tell you, okay, what is going on with the major items, the major components of that bridge. And all this information is what's inputted into all those previous tabs that I was showing you. And something I want to mention with regards to any information that you print from Pontex, particularly with this 1085 form, is, and if you were to ask my son, he'd probably tell you, Mom, you watch too much NCIS and Blue Bloods, and you're skeptical about so many things, but this is protected by Texas Homeland Security Act. So we don't want to leave this information laying around anywhere. Once you're done with it, let's say, for example, you printed it, please don't just leave it laying around and throw it in the recycle. Let's try to make sure that we shred this information if you no longer need it. Okay, so we had that inspection report. In addition, we have, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble here with my mouse. Photos. The photos are the complement the inspection reports. And any deficiency with the 7 or below should have some type of comment and, if feasible, a photo attached to it so you can correlate what the deficiency looks like with the comment. Okay, so that is your current information. Now let's say you want to go back and you want a little bit of history on this. So that was inspection attachments. Now we're going to go into attachment history. So as of 10/14/2015, this is what information is in here. And you'll hit inspection, and this is a series of dates. So you'll be able to go, let's say I want to go to what was reported in 2010. And there's your information. And so what do we have in here? We have all sorts of different information that you can go in through. We just went, for example, into the inspection report that I previously went into. Another good source of information is your element. Let's say you're working on a set of plans and you want to know how much joints need to be looked at. The information is sorted by your type of component, and there's units and there's a total quantity. So there's information here to help you as far as quantities are concerned also. The components part just tells you, gives you a description of what the acronyms are for that, for those elements that were described to you under the element condition. So the bottom line of this presentation is there's information, bridge information out there. It can help all sorts of different sections, whether you're in planning and you're filling DCIS peak screens, you need a location description, you need to know where this bridge is located. If you need to know, if you're a designer and you want to know how is this particular bridge doing, how is it performing? Is there anything we need to repair and attach on to this project that's coming on? Or if you're in the maintenance section and you're working on a rehab job, the information for your bridges is in this Pontex database, and it's very easily accessible. Anybody within TxDOT, as long as you have a Pontex login code, you can get into Pontex and you can have access to this information. And last but not least, there is a help tab here. I like to go into the documentation, and there's several documentations in here that will help you maneuver through Pontex. And I'm not going to go through them, but there's several documentations in there. And then there's one more thing I want to show you in the help, which is You know what I didn't go through, which is very important, is under the inspection and appraisal reports, the landscape report, and a lot of you know this sheet as the NBI sheet, sufficiency ratings and other information as far as AADT and stuff. This is also accessible through here, and it is real-time information. So if it changes tomorrow and you access it tomorrow, it would have been updated, and you'll get the latest and greatest information. And the other last thing that I was trying to show you, and I don't think I'm going to get to it, I apologize, but somewhere in here you'll have access to the Pontex, gosh, I totally went blank.
Elemental data?
Not the elemental data. As far as the items that are recorded in the database, the coding guide, I'm sorry, you'll have access to the coding guide. So when you go and look at that NBI sheet, let me go back to the NBI sheet. All these items that are listed on here, through the help guide, you'll have access to the coding guide, and you'll see exactly what, for example, item 53 is. How is it defined, and what those numbers in there mean. So that all of that information, you'll have access through Pontex. So in conclusion, I did have a slide presentation available. I just didn't want to present with a slide presentation because I really think that seeing screens can get awfully boring. Hopefully this was a little bit more entertaining, but the slide presentation is available. So if you have any questions, my information is on there. Tom Yarbor, he takes care and oversees Pontex. I'm sure he'll be more than glad to help you, and I know I can say that without hesitation because he's not here to rebuttal. So our information is on there. If you need any assistance, please by all means give us a call. And any questions?